because it puts these services closer to where those people live and work inside a trusted place, which is the public libraries. And we look forward to continuing this partnership with you.
Thank you very much, Jaime. Let me go down the list. Trustee Foyt, did you have any questions or comments?
I was just curious, the amount of hours that perhaps the Workforce Center is open at each of the libraries?
Do you want to take that, Jaime, or do you want me to?
Go ahead, Matt.
So right now, the hours of operation vary from branch to branch. A lot of it has to do with the contracts that are written for the providers and for what the amount of hours that those providers can offer. So we had originally intended to be able to offer the services 7 days a week, similarly to how libraries are open. Right now, each contract is written, they have enough hours to perform services for about 5 days a week, but right now, with changes that are happening in Las Vegas, the more that we can expand those hours, the library district is ready to.
Thank you, Trustee Foyt. Trustee Wilson, did you have any questions or comments?
One question, if I could. I'm trying to help Robin, but if I could just ask one question. It says it'll be reserved for small business. How are we defining that? What is a small business by definition under this new location?
Sure. I'll take that through you, Mr. Chair. There is no real hard rule that says any business can come to these business hubs. We just use the word small business, which is defined under the SBA as any business under 50 employees. That's 50. But again, there will be no hard rule that says somebody with 51, 52, or 100 can come and provide services. We're going to provide those services to any employer who seeks them.
So I'm just, I'm asking for clarification because there was a point made in this presentation to mark small business. And obviously this is space that we're, setting aside in the library to benefit the community. And I'd like to see that benefit not be going to giving a big corporation a free recruiting place when they could easily afford to be paying like they do at any other career fair. And, when it's going to be free access for these businesses, let's keep them local community businesses. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you.
Trustee Wilson, Trustee Benavides.
Thank you. I just want to applaud once again, when we had some previous meetings, I had discussed that the library is now going to serve, if we already served in the capacity of being the social services hub, this is going to help us. This is really going to be the place where people are going to go to figure out the answers or to figure out what their next step is. So with that, I just want to thank the partnership with the library staff as well as working with Jaime and his crew. I know they do an exceptional job. And whenever the recommendation is ready, I'd like to make the motion, Chair.
Felipe, you're on mute.
Thank you very much, Trustee Benavides. You'll make the motion. Trustee Jose Luis Melendez, do you have any questions or comments?
Well, I know it's probably hard to say right now, but anticipating once we all are back to operational and open and all those good things, do we anticipate having to need more staff in these centers as depending, obviously depending on the flow of traffic and the flow of people that might be coming in?
Jaime, I'll let you speak to the staffing side of it, and I can speak to the operational side of it in the library if you'd like.
Sure. When it comes to the areas where we are responsible for providing these services within the library, so specifically, let's take Sahara West, for example, the space that's being allocated for these services, we will bring that additional staff into the library. It's kind of mirrors what the partnership has been so far. So we expect about 5 people, if you will, to be the core base of the services that will be happening at Sahara West. One person is going to be a coordinator style person who will anchor the services, be there again at least 40 hours a week. We haven't set the working hours yet, but the other 4 are called business services reps, and their work is to be also at these mom and pop shops. So they're supposed to travel and visit these places, understand the needs of these employers, and then so they'll be dividing their time between field work and being based out of that space at the Sahara West Library.
And from an operational standpoint, you'll hear a presentation a little bit later today about a phased reopening approach for the libraries. We've identified that these unemployment services and one-stop career centers would be a critical need for our community, and we're expecting to launch their services immediately when libraries, reopen. From a library district operational standpoint, we understand that there may be large numbers of people who are wanting to receive these services, and we'll be preparing, ways to socially distance people who may be standing in line. We may be using some other spaces within the library to create the social distancing that's maybe needed to fill out applications or to collect unemployment. And so utilizing, we're already kind of planning to utilize our resources to help serve and meet the critical needs that the one-stop career centers provide.
Thank you, Jose Luis. Trustee Shannon Bilberry-Axelrod, any questions or comments?
Thank you, Chair. I think it's been said, but it can't be said enough how important these programs are going to be after we get through this pandemic. So I'm glad we're doing this.
Very much. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake.
I just wanted to ask, as Matt knows, I'm quite familiar with that area that you're talking about, the Sahara Library. What are we talking about physically? I kind of think I already have an idea, but could you just go over that just a minute?
Sure. At Sahara West Library, there are a couple different meeting rooms. One is what we call a glass gallery space. This was a meeting room that was available to the public that exists directly across from the Foundation bookstore. A few months back, we actually took that room off of our online meeting room reservation platform, and so there are currently no reservations that are scheduled for the room, and we're looking at repurposing that for this small business or this business hub, if you will, of services. There's also some adjacent office spaces that exist just behind that room. We do have a couple staff members who are utilizing some of those rooms, and we'll be trying to we will be relocating those staff members to other areas within the Sahara West Library. In fact, that's something that Workforce Connections is willing to pay for those the relocation of office cubicle space and such. So we can then renovate those kind of underutilized office spaces that are back there to really give them the support that they'll need to operate this business hub.
Okay, thank you. And the bathroom facilities and things like that, will that be just for the Workforce Connection, or will that still be for the people that work in the warehouse?
So yeah, back in that space, so the restroom facilities would be the public restroom facilities that everyone else uses in that main lobby. There's a small kitchenette that exists in that area that will also operate as a shared service area for our programming staff, for potential cafe staff, and for the one-stop the business hub staff.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, welcome. And do you have any questions or comments? Okay. We'll come back to you. Trustee Robin Wadley-Munier, did you have any questions or comments?
Chair Ortiz, I just unmuted Trustee Raymaker, so maybe that was the problem.
Trustee Sandra Raymaker, do you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you and welcome. Trustee Robin Wadley-Munier, did you have any questions or comments?
She's not on the call.
Okay, thank you very much. I did have one question, so just for the record, Jaime, and Matt, so we're extending this contract for 4 years, and with an addition of doing a business services at West Sahara. Is that correct?
That's correct. The implementation of the business hub at Sahara West would be included within the MOU as a one-stop delivery system service. So just like the one-stop career centers, this was included into that MOU.
Very good. Thank you very much. Trustee Benavides, can we entertain a motion?
Of course. I'd like to make a motion to approve the executive director of the Las Vegas Clark County Library District to engage in a memorandum of understanding with Workforce Connection, subject to council review, in order to continue partnership and offer services of the one-stop delivery system.
Second.
I move to
Trustee Rainmaker will second.
Second by Elizabeth Foyt. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Congratulations, Jaime. Thank you for keeping the work with the biggest need probably in our community so far. And Matt, thank you so much. So the motion carries.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. Cruz, for joining us today.
Thank you all.
Thank you very much. We'll proceed to our regular agenda item. Allison, do we have any minutes for approval at this time?
Not at this time.
Okay, no minutes to approve at this time. Director Ron Hazin, library report. Are you directing this? Ron?
Sorry, I forgot to unmute. Yes, sir.
Please go ahead, proceed.
Okay, the first thing is these reports are in direct response to what board members asked at our last meeting. And without wanting to show that those are less important or anything, I'd like to point out that you have received a copy in your diligent packet of the report on staff communications during COVID-19. That was one of the concerns expressed at the last meeting. And we are, as you can see, this is a multi-page report, and we got summaries from each of the departments. So if everybody could please look at this. I'm not going to take up your time today because we are running behind schedule, but if you could read through this, and then if you have any questions, please either email me or contact me and we can discuss them. Is that okay, Mr. Chair?
Go ahead. Let me go down the list here. Trustee Rainmaker, did you have any questions or comments on that item?
No, I'm good with all the reports. Thank you so much for them.
Very good. Trustee Robin Wadley-Millet, any questions or comments?
She's not on the call.
Thank you very much. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, did you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
Okay. Trustee Shannon Bilberry Axelrod, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Trustee Melendres, did you have any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Trustee Kelly Benavides, do you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time, sir.
Trustee Foyt, did you have any questions or comments? Trustee Foyt?
Try again.
I did speak.
Oh, sorry, please
Okay.
go ahead. I can hear you.
No, thank you very much, and I am glad to have the reports, but no comments.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wilson, did you have any questions or comments?
No, not at this time.
Okay, Ron, that was on that report. Briefly tell us the other reports real quick, item number B.
Okay, item B, I'm going to ask Betsy to address, but in the last meeting, it was clearly the board's agreement that we postpone the launch of our brand until after we have coped with this COVID-19 crisis. So, let's see, that's item, I'm sorry, that's item, if I can find it here. Yeah, that was item B. Betsy, did you want to talk about that?
Sure. So I felt very downhearted to have to present the signage package to you that day because we had just finished talking about the situation that we're facing, but we wanted to make sure that you knew that we had completed the signage package and that the thing was moving forward and that the brand is moving forward. Behind the scenes, we're still working on it. So, but given your feedback, we really felt like the time just wasn't right now to launch something like that. So we will continue, my team will continue to work on it and move forward behind the scenes. And when we're ready, we will be, when the time is right, we'll be ready to launch.
Ron, please tell us about item number C, report on YouTube programming.
Okay, I'm going to let Betsy go ahead and talk about that because that's her department's area. But we are expanding our YouTube programming, and I'm excited that our staff is providing these services to people away from the library. Betsy?
Yeah, so this YouTube project is actually something we've been working on for quite some time. We actually started on it last year. Our plan was to launch it in September along with the brand, but you know, given the situation that we're in right now, we realized that wasn't going to work, and we needed to move up the deadline quite a bit. So we made that our top priority over the last couple of weeks, and I don't know if you all have had a chance to look at it. I can send you a link, or you can just go onto YouTube and search under LVCCLD, and you'll see it. It'll pop up. I'm not going to read this whole report. It's quite long, but you can read through it and see all the work that we've done and other libraries that we've been talking to for some time, and some of the other things that we hope are going to be we're going to be populating the YouTube channel with, besides just story times, because we are targeting adults, teens, and tweens besides little ones. So we're very excited to be working with Matt McNally's team and Jen Schember's team. They have a lot of great ideas for virtual programming, and you know, our library is just one of hundreds across the country that are all going through this same shift in learning and rethinking how to bring their programming online. So it's an industry-wide challenge, and we're excited to rise to that challenge. And I think with this YouTube channel, we'll be able to do that.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rogers, welcome aboard. And we're on item number 5C. And let me go down the list. Trustee Wilson, did you have any questions or comments on the YouTube channel programming by the library?
Not at this time, thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Elizabeth Floyd, did you have any questions or comments?
Thank you so much.
Okay, Trustee Benavides, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Trustee Melendres, did you have any questions, comments?
No, sir.
Okay. Trustee Vice Chair Shannon Bilberry Axelrod, did you have any questions or comments?
As we were going through, I was looking at the content that's on there. And I was just curious, will you be working with other library systems? We talked last time, sometimes there's not a reason to reinvent the wheel. So, if, you know, other libraries such as Los Angeles County Library has celebrities doing story time or something, maybe we can piggyback off some of those items as well. So I know you guys are thinking outside the box, but to me, it's just content. We just need to have it on there.
You're so right about that. And yes, that's actually a really good suggestion. We will look into other libraries and some of the celebrities that they're posting. We are in the process of reaching out to local celebrities also to work on story time. So we will keep you posted on that. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, do you have any questions or comments?
No comments, but Betsy and your group, thank you for everything. I know this is a little disheartening, but like they say, this too will pass, and we appreciate everything you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, any questions or comments?
No, but just want to again tell Betsy and her group, thank you for all you're doing. Just wish we could move forward on more, but appreciate you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Rogers, any questions or comments?
Thank you. I don't have any questions at this time, and then I apologize. I think I had logged in under attendee versus panelist, so I was listening to the other conversation but couldn't speak, and I had to go and find the right password to come back on the call. So, but I don't have any questions at this time.
Thank you very much. The only comment that I have is thank you very much for creating this opportunity to continue to provide services while we're not physically there. This is something that definitely will take off, and thank you, Betsy, Matt, and everybody else involved. Okay.
Chair Ortiz,
Yes.
Robin has just joined us. I don't know if she wanted to make any comments on this item.
Thank you, Trustee Robin Wadley-Meunier. We're on the YouTube programming for the library. Did you have any questions or comments for Betsy?
You may have to unmute her, Allison, because she had to come in with an attendee password.
Okay, she's unmuted. Robin, you're breaking up.
Thank you. Do you hear me?
Now we do.
Oh, Lord. What I said, I appreciated Betsy Ward's presentation, and that I agreed with Shannon. And okay, I don't know what's happening.
Okay, thank you, Trustee Wadley Munoz.
Somebody talked when I was
go ahead.
talking. I don't know what happened.
Go ahead, Robin.
Hello?
We're still here, Robin. Go ahead.
Okay. Oh, no. I never,
okay.
Nobody, it just stopped.
We can hear, we can hear you, Robin. Okay, let's, thank you, Robin. We'll come back to you. Let's go ahead and move on to the next item.
He spoke.
Director.
And I could never get you to hear me.
You're breaking up, Robin. We'll try again at the next item. Director, will you go ahead and give us item number B?
I can concur with Shannon, and I appreciated Betsy. I don't know. This is not working.
Thank you very much. Brian, will you text her? We'll come back to her. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. Director, will you go ahead with item number D?
Okay, the next item is right. The next item is a report on district communications with our partners. And Matt, I'm going to ask you to take this one for your report.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thank you, Dr. Heesen. At the last board meeting, we were asked just for a little bit of an update of where we're at, just to check in with all of our partners, make sure that everyone was doing well and seeing, just trying to retain that same level of partnership and to help meet their needs and to help meet our needs as we begin to move through the COVID-19 process. So the report that I put together just summarizes the great work that all of our staff has done to reach out to all of our partners. We have about 350 different partners that we operate with throughout the year. So in April, these are the individuals who have been contacted. We're starting to gather all of that information in now as they begin to respond back about how we can best serve them. And we also let them know really what our critical needs are, or what we see the critical needs of the community being and where we see ourselves planted to help support that. So a lot of our programming, a lot of our partnerships may be retooled in ways to really help support critical need areas of unemployment and business development, food sustainability, financial literacy, social services, early childhood education, literacy, COVID-19 testing and contact tracing, along with health and wellness. So there are other critical need areas that will surface, and we'll be there to meet those needs. But it's been really great just being able to check in with the partners. They've really appreciated that we're reaching out to them, and really, taking a value and interest in understanding of what are their immediate needs and how we can best support those moving forward.
And let me add one specifically about a couple of our partners. Our library district, we have provided them with our phased reopening plans, and they were very thankful for that. And that was thanks to Jen Schember, but I forwarded those to the other library districts. So move onward. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ron. Let me go down the list real quick. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, do you have any questions or comments?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Robin Wadley Munoz, do you have any questions or comments?
No, it doesn't. Oh, on audio. Okay.
Go ahead, Robin. We can hear you. Robin?
Okay, thank you. I don't know.
Go ahead and speak, Robin. Do you have any questions or comments?
You can hear me.
Yes, we can.
Oh, you can hear me?
Yes, we can. Go ahead.
Oh, well, I have to call in on another number, they said. I can,
No, keep talking. Keep talking.
well, I was on the phone with Brian. I don't even know what was just said.
This is on the community partners?
I
We'll
missed half of Ron's presentation.
Yes.
I'm sorry.
Okay, we'll come back to you. Thank you very much. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, any questions or comments?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
Trustee Shannon Bilberry Axelrod?
I'm good, thank you.
Trustee Melendres?
All good, thank you.
Trustee Benavides?
No comments.
Trustee Rogers? Dr. Rogers?
No comments.
Trustee Foyt?
Nothing at this time. Thank you.
Trustee Wilson?
Nothing at this time, thank you.
Trustee Robin Wadley Meunier? You may have lost. Can you hear us, Robin?
I said no comment.
Oh, okay, very good. Now we can hear you. Thank you so much. Ron, thank you very much for connecting with all of our partners. It's critical because we're going to get called back. So thank you.
Okay, Felipe, there's one other part of this, and Daniil is going to have to talk about that as the partners with our district foundation and also with our Department of Planning and Development. So, Daniil, are you ready?
Okay. Yes, Daniil, go ahead. Do we need to unmute her?
She is unmuted. Hang on just a second.
I know that she had another meeting scheduled for this afternoon, and she was going to have to leave early. She may have already exited. Allison, is she actually still online?
It shows that she's still on.
Sorry about that. Daniil and I are both in the service center, and I went over to her desk, and she is unmuted, but it doesn't seem to, she's unmuted, but we can't hear her, and I don't know why.
Ron, do you have any, can you report out for her?
Actually, wait just a minute. I'm so sorry, Chair Ortiz. Daniil's going to come and join me.
Thank you.
She's going to be Allison.
Social distance.
Hello, Daniil Milam for the record. Daniil Milam for the record.
Please go ahead.
Just a quick update. You can read the report, but on the planning and development side, I am participating in a lot of community planning meetings to determine the current critical needs, and you'll hear more about how we might be able to phase in some new partnerships and some new models of service with some of the agencies that are obviously on severe overload. Similarly, in terms of funding agencies, we have been tracking some of the major funding sources like FEMA, FCC, and the Institute for Museum and Library Services to see where we might be able to find some sources of funding for the new kinds of costs that we are incurring because of COVID-19. Happy to answer any other questions.
Thank you very much. The only comment that I have is I had asked this question, and the library really needs to be the center point for a lot of organizations, nonprofits that have been shell-shocked, and it's going to get worse. So I'm glad to see that we are the star or the center point where they can feel comfortable in continuing their services should they so choose. So does anybody have any questions for Daniil? Thank you,
I'll
Daniil.
just jump in and say some of these agencies are just can't wait for us to get open and see if we can help them get to the folks that are digitally not connected. And that's probably the most critical need.
Okay, thank you. This doesn't require a motion, right, Ron?
Correct.
Okay.
This is just a report. And if you have other questions, please send them to us. We'd be happy to answer any questions that trustees have.
Thank you very much. And Ron, we missed item number D, Human Services Director Search, update by CFO Fred James.
This is Fred James for the record. Trustee Ortiz and the trustees, we are in the midst of, we've already set up the schedule to interview the new HR director. We have about 11 candidates. They're really good. They're from all over. Based on what's happening today, I'm going to have to practice with the board chairs, the board members that's going to be on this that we're going to be having. So I'm going to be setting up a meeting, or just a test time, to make sure everything is working correctly. So the very first meeting we have will be April 30th. We have one candidate then, and that give us a chance to practice before then. And then the next meetings will be the 5th, the 6th, and 7th, where we will have interviews all 3 days of next week and one. We will probably get back to you by the end. We'll probably be bringing in the top 3. We will bring in the top 3 or 4 members just to have a one-on-one meet and just to get a feel for them. And so that's where we stand at the moment.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wilson, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time, thank you.
Trustee Foyt, did you have any questions or comments?
Looking forward to participating with the interviews under Fred's direction. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Dr. Watson, did you have any questions or comments?
No questions at this time.
Thank you very much. Trustee Benavides.
Chair, if you could remind me of who's on that interview panel, and the only reason why I'm asking is because I know some of the trustees have been having some technical difficulties, and I'd be willing to be an alternate in that if need be.
Okay, I asked Trustee Foyt, Trustee Melendres, and Allison, I'm drawing the blank on the third one.
Me, it's Shannon.
Trustee Shannon Bilbray-Axelrod. And thank you. I'll set you as an alternate in case somebody cannot attend.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Trustee Ortiz.
Yes, sir.
I'd like to add that I'm sending out the schedules today and between today and tomorrow. So you will be email to set on your schedule. Please put it on your schedule, and we're going to have to make sure that you come on about a half an hour to maybe 40 minutes earlier. So if we're having issues, that we can rectify those issues before those start time. Okay.
And we'll follow up with an email on this item. Thank you so much.
And Trustee Benanita, would you like for me to put you down on those just in case?
Sure, that's just in case. I'll go ahead and put it on my calendar, and if need be, just give me a call.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much for that report. Ron, was there anything else?
Chair, you didn't come to me.
Oh, I am so sorry. Trustee, let me go down the list. Trustee, Vice Chair Shannon Bilbray-Axelrod.
I was just going to ask if we are completely married to WebEx because, like I said, I do a lot of Zoom calls daily, and it just seems to be a little more streamlined. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Can we save that? Put that item on hold until the unfinished or new business? Thank you.
Sounds good.
Did you have any questions on the search for the HR director?
No, looking forward to serving on the committee.
Thank you very much. Trustee Merrill Francis Drake, did you have any questions on the search for the HR director?
No, just to be clear, the 3 people, the 3 board members on the committee will be in on the interviews online on the 30th, the 5th, 6th, and 7th. And then the top 3 or 4 will be brought in for face-to-face interviews? And will that be the committee or will that be all of us?
Fred?
It's a meet and greet, and it could be all of you if you would like. It's up to the group of you. And so what we're going to do is we can plan it. Right now, we don't have a meeting because we don't know what everyone's schedule is like. So we could set up a new schedule date for a meet and greet, however you want to treat this.
Okay, I'm just wondering about scheduling. I wanted to make sure I had things on my calendar. Thank you.
Thank you, and everybody will be invited if they have time. Thank you. Robin Wadley Meunier, did you have any questions or comments? I'll come back to her in a second. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm just looking forward to Catherine.
To me?
Yes, Robin, go ahead.
Hello.
We can hear you. Go ahead.
Well, you cut me off.
Sorry. Nope.
I said when we did this interview before, or when we interviewed before, we were all in on the interview because I remember.
I can barely hear you, but I want to say we were all in on the director's interview, not the HR director.
I was brand new on the board, and we certainly were all able to
Keep breaking up, Robin.
talk with the three clients we had. I'm just curious as to why you didn't. Okay. Can't help it. I got practically kind of talking to it.
Robin,
I'm done.
thank you. They've
I'm
interviewed
done.
or
Gone.
thank you, Robin. Trustee Sandra Raymaker.
Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Sandra Raymaker.
Yeah, no, nothing at this time. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
And Chair
Yes,
Ortiz, just for the record, and I think you were starting to say this, and I do want this to be known. What Trustee Robin Wadley Meunier was thinking of was for the director. We were all involved with the finalists for the director, but not for the HR director.
Thank you very much.
Chair Ortiz.
Yes, go ahead.
Yeah, this is Council Welch. Just so we're clear, the hire of the HR director is by the executive director, although the trustees can give input. The only direct hire you have is the executive director.
That's correct. Absolutely correct.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you.
And Trustee Ortiz.
Okay, I don't know if y'all could hear me or not, but I thought you were talking about the director search, not the HR
Trustee Ortiz.
Fred, go ahead.
director.
Trustee Ortiz, for the record.
Could not hardly hear anything Fred said.
Fred's going to speak right now. Go ahead, Fred.
Just for the record, the executive director, Ron, would be there, as he would be listening in on the interview process. Am I correct, Ron? Because I have you down. I have you.
Yes, I will be there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Under item number 6, unfinished business, there is none. We move on to new business. And then item A, discussion and possible board action regarding changes to the current address of the Enterprise Library. This is a question for our legal counsel. This item was already voted down. My understanding under Robert's Rules of Order is that the person who anybody who voted it down has to make a motion to reopen it, get that approved, and then there's a second motion. Should somebody make it?
That's correct.
Okay. So at the last, I want to believe this is, Allison, was this the March meeting or February meeting when it was voted down?
This was the March meeting.
Okay.
And neither Shannon nor Elizabeth were at that meeting.
Okay. So Anybody but Shannon and Elizabeth would like to make a motion to reopen this item? Who voted in the no? I would like to, Jerry, can I make the motion?
As the chair.
You can. The chair
Okay.
has the equal rights as all the other trustees in this smaller group. You all represent a
Thank
specific area.
I voted no. I'd like to move to reopen this item for discussion and possible action.
Excuse me, doesn't,
I made a motion. Is there a second? Okay, no second.
No, that Jose Melendez voted for
Second,
second.
Felipe.
Oh, I'm sorry. So all in favor, the motion's been made to reopen this item for possible action. Has been made. There is a second.
that would be an understatement.
Thank you. All in favor? Aye.
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 So is Felipe.
Aye.
You keep cutting me off.
No, I
And
don't.
When I get to talk, nobody listens to me.
Robin, there's a motion on the floor and nobody's cutting you off.
Aye.
Everybody's an aye. Anybody opposed?
I oppose.
Anybody else?
I oppose.
There's two.
Opposed?
There's three.
This is Brian. Robin is extremely delayed on her internet. It's very slow, so it takes a minute for her sound to come through.
Okay. The record will reflect.
Is there
that nobody-
is there a possibility she could call in?
The record will reflect that nobody is cutting Robin off. Nobody is shutting her down. The record will reflect that we are unable to hear her. Did you vote, Robin? Robin? Allison, does she calling in? Jerry, what is the best way to proceed with her vote?
Well, it's the same thing as if she wasn't here. There's not really much you can do. You have to go forward with the vote you have.
Okay, so to recount, Sandra Raymaker was a no, Kelly was a no, Trustee Benavides, Trustee Wilson was a no. Is there another no?
I'm a detailed person. I'm a process. Follow the process person. And Felipe should know that. But anyway, and, you know.
Ryan, can you hear?
I can hear her a little bit. I can try to conference call her in. I can call in from my phone and try to get her like on a conference called in.
Please do.
All right, one more time, please.
Bear with me a second. I'll try to get her in.
No, I walked away with the sorry. search, not the HR, because I could never hear anything Fred was saying. It was like he was whispering. Felipe's coming out here to what degree they have their own personal mic at. I don't know, but it's beautiful.
Of course, I understand.
You know, but
Robin?
Ron comes through loud and clear. Ron comes through loud and clear, and it's just the Wi-Fi service in this neighborhood is atrocious, absolutely atrocious.
Ron comes through because he has a big mouth.
What?
Robin, we're on the discussion and possible board action regarding the current address of the Enterprise Library. And at last meeting, the board voted.
I'm in favor for working on trying to change that address. Yes.
Okay, thank you. That's a yes. Merlin
Yes.
Francis Drake, what was your vote?
I said yes. Might as well try.
Okay, so let's see. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have 5 for and 3 against. Motion carries. Thank you very much. And so now we'll continue the discussion and possible board action regarding the change of the current address of the Enterprise Library. Trustee Foyt, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. I have been working with my longtime friend, Michael Knapp, who is the county commissioner serving that district. I've had several communications with him since then directly to me concerning this issue, and I would really like to see it play out in his hands. I feel we're going to be successful, and that has been his indication to me as well. Shannon and I also had a very brief conversation concerning this, and she has perhaps something to add. But I feel very positive, and I think in view of our economic times that we are in and heading into, that it's a very wise course to follow. Thank you.
Trustee Bill, before you ask for Vice Chair, would you like?
Yeah, I would just like to add, well, first of all, let me apologize to Trustee Wadley Mounier. Believe us, we could not hear you at all, and I know it's frustrating, but no one was cutting you off, and just wanted to say that. Second of all, this is something that we've been talking about for some time, and I'm really glad that Trustee Foyt took the initiative to start this. My father was the longtime chair of the Board of Governors for the United States Postal Service, and he was kind of shocked to hear that the address was on Shelbourne when it is clearly facing Las Vegas Boulevard. So I can't tell you how many times I am going to that Enterprise Library and miss the street. So I think that some nice signage right on Las Vegas Boulevard. I think people know South Las Vegas Boulevard. It'll be easy to find, whereas Shelbourne is just not a major street and people don't realize the library's there.
Thank you very much. Trustee Melendez, did you have any questions?
No, none at this time.
Trustee Wilson, did you have any questions?
I'm sorry, was that for me? I was trying to get.
Yes. Trustee Wilson, any questions?
Yeah, my question is versus all the expense of cutting in driveways and entrances and moving the address, can't we simply market it as Little Las Vegas Branch and put a big sign right on Las Vegas Boulevard that you can't miss driving by?
I'd like to answer that. We have not been asked any specific requirements at this time. I do know that we did have a library staff member look into it and was firmly pushed back by the powers that be. I do believe working with Michael Knapp that we will be successful and it will be at the least cost possible. If in fact we find that the costs are, outrageous or foolish at this time, then we can come back to the board and certainly say to ourselves, gee, that was a lovely gesture, but no, we're going to stay with our Shelbourne address. That's my thought.
Could we figure out, what a rough guess cost would be both ways to compare against in this process?
Well, we have not had something presented to us that would be required for this. I have the feeling it's going to just slip through very quietly. That's my impression as a longtime Las Vegas resident.
And this is Vice Chair Shannon Bill Braxford. The post office did not give us any indication that we needed to change the egress into the building.
Well, then I would be a lot easier for me to support it if we didn't have to spend a bunch of construction money to put an egress in there.
Okay. Anything else, Trustee Wilson?
Mr. Chairman?
Yes, go ahead, Trustee Robin Wally-Munoz.
Okay, I think that also there might be an opportunity. I know that in phase 4, I guess, of the federal funding, they're looking at having some infrastructure money. Might be some way that the county could grab a piece of that, or NDOT might have something that we could use if indeed that was necessary. But I'm not sure that that would really be required to have to change the entrance and exits on the, maybe just repaint the arrows going in and out, something of that nature. It's just a thought that we could explore.
We can hear you loud and clear. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Dr. Rogers, any questions, comments?
So I'm like, I don't know what her financial plan is at this time.
I'm sorry, can you say that again? Okay, Trustee Benavides, any questions or comments?
I just have some concerns because I thought when this was brought up.
Is there a dilemma?
I'm sorry, go ahead, Trustee Rogers. I cut you off. Go ahead. Trustee Rogers?
Oh.
Trustee Rogers, any more comments?
Oh, I was just talking and I was still on mute. I was saying I don't have any comments at this time. Thank you.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Trustee Benavides, go ahead.
So I believe that when we had brought this up to the board previously, my understanding was when it was going to be on the agenda for discussion, that we would have some sort of plan, or that we would have had some sort of homework done of what the cost was going to be and what the requirements were going to be. Typically, the county does make you put the entrances on the street that the address is on. And so typically there is a cost to those. With the time that we're in right now, I just wouldn't support it because we don't have those kind of details. I feel like we would be approving something without have done all our homework of how much is this going to cost. I mean, I agree that knowing that the commissioner of the district is supporting the project, that's great, but that's not the full scope of what this would entail and how much it would cost. So with that, that was my reasoning for maybe tabling this for a later time when we had all those details. What does it entail? I mean, is it a great idea in concept? Yes, I think we all agree that it was a great idea. But when you don't have the cost attached to what this is doing and what the process actually is, it is very time-taking. It is a long process to go through the town board, the commissioners. So for that reason, I'm just not supportive at this time because we just don't have enough information to be able to make me comfortable in approving a project of this magnitude.
Thank you very much. Trustee Melendres, any questions or comments?
Yeah, so, I mean, I agree with that part of it with what Trustee Benavides just said. So I do feel that it does need to be the entrance, or it needs to be the address, and all that needs to be changed. But I agree. I mean, I'm assuming before we would go with a full vote, we would be able to get those details or get that information, whether it's going to be through a commissioner or whatever, that we'd be able to see those details. Because again, I am supportive. I do think it needs to change, but before any final vote would be taken, I would agree that, you know, we need to have what the potential cost would be to the library, if any.
Trustee Mary Francis Drake, any questions or comments?
No, I agree with Jose, but as long as the people that are working on it, are going to be putting their time in to look into it and so on, and as there's no financial commitment for us, I do realize that we have much bigger fish to fry before we worry about an address for a library. We just have to make sure that the library is even going to be there. So we've got to look into those things. But if the people that are working on it continue to work on it, thank them. And like Jose said, we're not voting on spending the money. We're not voting on doing it yet. We need details. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Sandra Raymaker, any questions or comments?
Yeah, the only reason I was disagreeing on this is the same thing. I mean, I think it's a great idea, and changing the address is great, but there's just too many things of unknown that we don't have the information on before we can even think about moving ahead on this. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Floyd or Trustee Shannon Bilber-Axelrod, please make the motion.
So I just want to say one more thing. I believe the intent of this motion is to continue to look into it, and if at any time that it seemed like it was an excessive amount of money, or quite frankly any money at all, it is not the intent of this board to pursue the name change. So with my dealings with the post office, it's been something as simple as some paperwork. Maybe there might be a change to the signage, but I think in the long run, we're looking at a value to the building, to to the library's profile, to the building, to the land. So I think that we don't want to, miss the forest for the trees. So if at any time this comes that we're going to have to, have these huge costs, then I think that we will immediately put the kibosh on it. Would you agree with that, Trustee Foyt?
Absolutely. I support exactly what you said. Thank you.
Chair, can I suggest the motion just be subject to the board's final approval?
Okay. All right, Trustee Foyt, will you make the motion?
Okay. I move that the Board of Trustees for the Las Vegas Clark County Library District continue to monitor the possible change of address for the Enterprise Library to a Las Vegas Boulevard South address. No financial commitment will be made without further board approval and acceptance, with the option, of course, to withdraw such a change should expenses be incurred.
Okay, very good. Is there a second?
I can second that.
Trustee Rogers, a second.
Okay, Trustee Rogers, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Is there anybody opposed?
Aye.
Trustee Drake, that's an aye for yes, for approval?
Yes, I'm sorry.
Thank you very much. Okay, unanimous. Thank you very much. Motion carries, and Allison will get together with you on the wording. Thank you very much. Let's move on with our next item. Ron, discussion of possible board action to change the dates of Food for Thought. Did we do that already, or is this a new item?
We set it back to this month, and with this morning, when I was talking with the state librarian, feels that the governor will not okay an opening until the end of the month. With that in mind, what we're asking for is just a change of the wording, because the way we passed it, it was very specific. So just say that we would like to give actually up to 60 days for Food for Thought, because our food banks are all going to be challenged after we return. And again, this is a way that our customers not only build goodwill toward the library, they feel good about themselves because of what they're doing for their community. And so if we extend it to 60 days from the date of reopening, I think that that would cover it. And so the actual motion would be to, and say up to 60 days beyond the restart of business.
Thank you very much. Real quickly, Trustee Sandra Rainmaker, did you have any questions or comments?
No, I'm good with this.
Thank you very much. Trustee Robin Wadley Meunier, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time.
Very good. Thank you. We can hear you clearly. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake, any questions or comments?
No questions.
Vice Chair Bilberry Axelrod, any questions or comments?
No, not at this time. Thank you.
Thank you. Trustee Melendez, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Trustee Benavides?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Dr. Rogers, any questions or comments?
No, sir.
Thank you very much. Trustee Floyd, any questions or comments?
Time, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Trustee Wilson, any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
All right. At this time, we'll entertain a motion. The motion is to continue to change the dates for Food for Thought food drive for 60 days, up to 60 days from the restart or reopening of the Clark County Library District.
I'll second that motion.
Okay.
Sandra Baker, second.
Kelly, if you'll make the motion, Sandra, second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Robin,
Aye.
you're an aye too? We'll mark it down as an aye. Thank you very much. Motion carries.
Thank you, everybody.
Next item is discussion of possible board action to reopen the Las Vegas Clark County Library District with revised operating procedures, guidelines, and safety measures as a result of the COVID-19 pandemic in conjunction with the governor's reopening guidelines and directives. Director Ron Hazin, Dr. Hazin?
Yes, of course, none of us knows when it's going to happen, and the governor was very clear in his last statement. He's joined the Western Conference, so now he's aligned with California, Oregon, Washington, and Colorado, and they're all standing very solidly by saying we're waiting for scientific evidence, not political decision making. And so when that comes about, we know that there's going to be other provisions, including PPEs, all those other provisions that the governor's going to have. Now, we have a protocol, and the John Vino and the team for the mitigation have developed protocols for reopening in phases. And so what we're looking for is to approve a memorandum of understanding. Let's see, that's the wrong one. I'm on. One day I'll learn how to use this iPad. Let's see.
7D?
Yeah, I'm on it now. So we're basically looking for approval to revise our operating procedures, guidelines, and safety measures as a result of the COVID-19 global pandemic and in conjunction with Nevada Governor Sisolak's reopening guidelines and directives.
So, Dr. Heason, I have a presentation for the board.
Okay, thank you, Jen.
Please go ahead, Jen.
Okay, for the record, Jennifer Schember, Library Operations Director. Good afternoon, everyone. As you know, the Library District closed its doors on March 16th in response to Governor Sisolak's emergency declaration on March 12th. While the district was able to close quickly, reopening normal services to the public will be a challenge. Now, as you recall, we discussed the district's approach to a phased reopening during the last board meeting. We appreciate all the feedback you gave us and took everything into consideration. The district is continuing to collaborate with our library systems locally and nationally and closely monitoring state and federal guidelines, as well as CDC and Southern Nevada Health District protocols. I'm going to walk you through our revised reopening framework in which Library Operations Administration worked closely with the General Services, with the district's Health and Safety Mitigation Task Force. The task force is led by Assistant General Services Director John Vino, who is also available for questions, as well as Safety Manager Nicole Baker. We also received input from library operations staff, who are the staff that work the front lines, as well as guidance from the Executive Council. So I'm going to share my screen. Allison, I think I need permission to do that. Allison?
Give me a minute, please.
Okay. Okay, I see it here. Okay, so what we have here is our phased reopening framework, and I'm going to walk everybody through this. So the goals of the library district would be to resume services in a phased approach to support a safe opening. We are also refocusing our immediate priorities to provide critical services. And what this means is that there's going to be limited services. So not all of our services will be available at the same time. We plan to enforce social distancing and limits on gatherings. This will be per the governor's directives and any other guidelines, but we do have measures in place to do this. We plan to provide ways to assist vulnerable and at-risk staff and customers. We have many safety measures that we're implementing, which I'll run through a little bit later. And we are also establishing new employee leave guidelines under the guidance of District Legal Counsel. And then we hope this framework allows us to move forward or backwards. So in other words, if there's a surge again in the fall, we can move back to phase 1 if we're already in phase 2, that type of thing. So we just needed a flexible framework to work from. So in phase 1, and this is what we are coming upon, is we know that there are going to be a limited number of people coming into our building. So we are prioritizing access based on critical services. And what this will mean for us is that we feel that once we open, there are going to be a lot of people standing at our doors waiting to come in. We're not going to be able to let everybody in, so we are going to have to prioritize based on these critical services. So computer use is huge. A lot of people need the computer use. So what we have done is we are looking at our computer centers, all of our tech labs, maker spaces, youth and adult PCs that we have available in all of those spaces. Those will be available for public access. We've also compiled all of our laptops, Chromebooks, tablets, and any other devices, technical devices that we have, and we're going to deploy those at various branches across the district. So we are increasing our access because there's kind of a trade-off where in our computer centers, we're going to have to socially distance all of the computers as they currently are. So we are probably losing about maybe 40% of our current computers just because of the way they're set up. But we're going to do everything we can, everything possible in the next couple of weeks to spread everything out to provide as much computer access as possible to the public. We will also allow people to come in for print and copy and fax services. These services are still really important, especially people that are seeking unemployment. There are a lot of requirements that are going to be in place where they'll have to fax their forms. Our adult learning program will still continue. That was formerly our call program. So our adult learning program staff will still conduct adult basic education programs, the career online high school, English language learner programs, and then the high school equivalency program. We also intend to operate our proctoring services. Now what this is we get a lot of people that come in that need a proctor for their exams. They're either in distance learning, they're taking tests, they're getting certifications, they are also getting licenses. So we still feel that we need to provide those services. Food distribution will continue pending on 3 Square. We may not get that up right away because 3 Square is very busy currently working in the community, but this will probably, we're hoping this will come on in phase one shortly after we reopen. Workforce Connections with their one-stop career centers and their small business program will still be a huge part of the services that we'll offer. And then in addition to any other partner programs related to community needs, and Director Milam and McNally covered some of those potential partnerships. So that is the focus on phase one. Now, other services that we feel we can still provide, other services, features, and programs during phase one is we would like to open the first hour of operations. We would like to make that dedicated to vulnerable and at-risk populations. Now, we don't have a specific agenda item to adjust hours, but as time goes on, we may bring this back to actually possibly add a service hour in the morning. Currently, we open at 10 a.m., so if we were to do this currently, the first hour would be from 10 to 11 a.m. But we are still considering the time frame for that. We will open our book drops soon. As soon as we get the okay for curbside pickup, we're going to launch this where the public will be able to call in and request items. They can get their holds pick up, that type of thing, and our staff will go out and take the items to people in their vehicles. We will allow people to come into the building for self-pickup of holds. We'll still continue to do phone, email, and in-person reference assistance. Our drive-through windows will be in operation at East Las Vegas and Mesquite libraries. Now, at these two branches, we will not have the curbside pickup because the drive-through window is available. Our e-resources will still be available with the e-cards. We will continue to expand our virtual programming, which Director Ward spoke about earlier. Our Wi-Fi expansion will continue into our parking lots. The Summer Challenge program, the reading program for kids, will launch during phase one as well. Most of this will be done virtually, and they're currently working on that. The Food for Thought program, as we were just speaking about, will also be in operation during phase one. And then we will also accept book donations during this time. Now, some of the measures we're putting in place, we know that there's going to be strong social distancing. And so it'll be very important, to enforce these guidelines. So this is what we've come up with. We definitely intend to limit the number of people coming into our buildings. This is going to be per the governor's directive, whatever that number is. We kind of have the sense that phase one is going to be no more than 10 people in a gathering, and then phase two would be no more than 50 in a gathering. But we are looking at doing a few calculations as well to determine what that capacity in our building would be to ensure that people are maintaining 6-foot distance between themselves. And just to kind of give you an example, the Enterprise Library that we were just talking about, we're roughly estimating about 40 or 50 people in that building at any given time. Within the public square footage of the building, the available space with 6 feet around people. But we are still doing those calculations, but I just wanted to kind of give you an idea about Enterprise. So we also plan to limit the number of people within designated areas. So as the public is allowed into the buildings, we'll have, certain numbers of people that can be in the computer center, the study rooms, our staff workrooms and lounge areas will also have limited access as well. So one thing I do want to mention is the outdoor line management and crowd control. We will have staff out at the front door, depending on how busy it is. I mean, we'll definitely have one staff member and one of our security officers. We may need 2 staff members in some of the buildings, but we are coming up with different scenarios on how to manage the line control. We will probably have, people who are there just for computer needs, and then we will make computer reservations for people in that case, and then we may have another line for everything else, like the self-pickup of holds. So we'll have it, we're coming up, we're still working through those scenarios. We are also discussing, the summertime is among us here. It's very hot outside. So we are exploring ways of maybe, allowing a group of people to come in and putting them in certain areas of the building where it's a little cooler, still social distance, but we may need to move groups from one area to another. If they're waiting, if it's like 2 or 3 hours before their computer appointment, something like that. But we're definitely still exploring. Some of our branches have lobby areas, so we can allow patrons into the lobby areas as a waiting area as well. And then one other thing that we're looking at for the line control is we are exploring a text system that allows us, to get somebody's phone number, and then we can text them when it's their turn in line. A lot of the restaurants are using this right now, but we're still looking into this, and we're going to have a demo on this particular service soon. We will have a lot of signage available for people, just letting them know the new protocols. We've ordered our floor decals already throughout the buildings. There will be limited public seating. We will only have very few seats available. They will be reserved for computer use areas only and for ADA purposes. So in some of the buildings, we are completely removing the seating and storing them, but then we are also wrapping the seats as well so that no one can sit in them, shrink wrapping the seats. During phase 1, there will be no browsing, so our stacks will be closed. So we'll tape those off so that patrons who are coming into the buildings will not be able to go into the stacks. Staff will be able to go in and out because we'll still have to get items for curbside service and for other people that are coming in for materials, but the stacks will be completely closed to the public in the buildings. There will be no loitering, and there are going to be no places to sit, so I think it would be pretty difficult for loitering. No outside food will be allowed. We are going to allow our patrons that are in the building to still use our vending machines, and then the cafes will still be open at Mesquite and East Las Vegas as long as the operators, would like to open. And also during in phase 1, no meeting room rentals or theater rentals during this time. We plan to use the meeting room and theater spaces for a variety of things. It could be some of the partnership programs that we're talking about, areas where we're going to launch some of our devices that we're circulating to the public. We just need more room to spread out, so we may be using these areas for that. So we do not plan to conduct on-site story times. We'll still have the virtual story times online, but no story times in branch. No volunteers will be on site during phase 1, and we'll have 1 to 2 staff members per service desk, and that will vary by branch. And then at some branches, we plan to close some of the service desks. Some of the safety measures we have in place. We talked about microshield last time, and we are in the process right now. Our general services team, Nicole Baker, our safety manager, is leading the microshield application, and this has been done in several branches. I believe we started last Friday, so our urban branches are being sprayed right now, and they will be completed on Saturday. And then service center has also been done, and then the next phase of the application will be our outlying branches. So that's pretty fast track. We're waiting for that to be completed before the staff are able to return to work to get these other safety measures in place. We are looking at putting stanchions up, various types of barriers, in addition to sneeze guards. Our staff, security officers, and partners will have the necessary personal protective equipment. We are planning to make masks mandatory for everyone at least initially. So we are going to make it mandatory, and we are going to provide masks for our staff, security, and partners. We will provide shields and gloves, and depending on the areas that people work in, they may be mandatory in some areas, but the shields and gloves will primarily be voluntary. Customer PPE will be allowed. Now, of course, if it's mandated by the state, then we will have to require it at that time. But right now we are just thinking that it, we're not quite sure right now, but we'll do whatever we need to do. Quarantine of materials. We're looking at a 3 to 4 day quarantine of all returned library materials, in addition to book donations and the food donations that come in from the from the Food for Thought program. And then, of course, there may be some lost and found items from patrons that we'll need to quarantine as well. But we are looking at a 3 to 4 day period on those. We have enhanced sanitization procedures. Hand sanitizers have been installed throughout all of our buildings for public use. We're coming up with methods to regularly wipe and clean equipment. We've also increased janitorial cleanings. There will be enhanced safety measures for staff who directly handle deliveries and or library materials. So people that are emptying book drops, working on the sorters, and actually shelving materials, we have increased safety measures for them. Of course, for our staff who are providing curbside pickup, the staff who are conducting line management and crowd control, and then also staff who drive shared district vehicles. So we will have protocols in place for all of those. We also intend to allow breaks for staff every hour or as needed for hand washing. And then we are also looking into alternative work functions available for vulnerable and at-risk staff. Now, our staff guidelines and training are currently in development, and there's still a lot of work to be done in several areas. But we do plan to conduct staff training related just to basic education on COVID-19. Things like how to protect yourself, the proper use of PPE, health and wellness, good hygiene, and best practices. So we have a district trainer in HR who is working on a lot of these, in addition to Nicole Baker, our safety manager. So the staff training will be launched shortly, and all of the staff will be trained on certain items before we open to the public, and then the training will continue after we open as well. We're in the process of developing a Families First Coronavirus Response Act policy, which I believe Director James will be talking about a little bit later. And we'll implement those new guidelines for staff when that's finalized. So I believe that since it's a policy, it has to go back to the board for approval. We are creating protocol to be followed when responding to staff or customers with symptoms. Now we'll be working directly with legal counsel on this. We also plan to train all library operations staff on new branch operating procedures. And additionally, all of our staff trainings and meetings will be conducted remotely, similar to this WebEx, or with proper social distancing, so in small groups. All of our security officers and partners will also receive applicable training. And then, of course, we need to have very specific procedures and guidelines specific to certain departments. And all departments right now across the board are working on their specific guidelines that we will have ready and available for staff before we reopen. So phase 2, I'll just focus on the services. Phase 2 is an increased access to into our buildings, and basically what this will be, we're going to continue everything in phase 1 as far as our services and our features and programs. Social distancing will continue, but we will increase the number of people in our buildings. Now, again, this is per governor directives. We don't know exactly what that number is going to look like yet, but we probably will be increasing people into our buildings. At this time, we will plan to open up our stacks. So the materials will be available for patrons actually to walk through and browse. The study rooms, we will open these up for general use with limited capacity. Now, we were using study rooms in phase 1, but that would be reserved for people using computers. So, or we give them a device and they go into a study room. But in phase 2, the study rooms would be open for general use, just for people to be able to study in if they need to. Meeting rooms and theaters would open for partnership programming. These would be done with limited capacity. And then we also plan to offer some programs that respond to current community needs, social services programs, employment programs, all those various types of needs right now that we can provide to the community. We'll have limited capacity story times and youth programs. So we may, do some story times where we only limit it to, 5 kids or however long, we have to figure out how large our story time spaces are. So all of those capacity limits will be set. Limited makerspace tech use will be available. In phase 1, the makerspaces and tech labs, we plan to use all the computers in those spaces, but all the other functions of those areas will not be in service during phase 1. But in phase 2, we will start opening up some of the other services, like the green screens and things like that. Also in phase 2, we will have limited volunteer engagement. And so we'll start bringing some of the volunteers back on. This may be where we can open up 1 or 2 of our bookstores, or maybe both of the bookstores. We are looking to begin outreach functions in phase 2. There will still be no loitering because the social distancing will still be in effect. No outside food allowed. And at this point, all of our service desks will be open, and we intend to have increased staff in our public areas. And then all of the continued sanitization and PPE will still apply, but at this point, the PPE may or may not be optional for staff. It just kind of depends. Probably optional. I think by the time we get to this phase, we probably won't make it mandatory anymore. And then finally, in phase 3, this is our full-scale opening. This is kind of where we return to somewhat normal operations, where we have no social distancing restrictions. Our in-person tutor programs return. All of our volunteers will return. All story times, all types of programming and rental spaces in the meeting rooms and theaters will reactivate. The maker spaces will as well. We will still continue to provide virtual programming. Once we get that up there, we don't want to stop with that. So that will continue. We'll also continue to encourage healthy behavior from everyone, for staff, customers. We will reevaluate our sanitization procedures, PPE, and curbside pickup. And then we will also work to realign and prioritize our partnerships. And then a few things that we think will discontinue. Well, as far as social distancing, all the signage will come down, the floor decals, the sneeze shields, those will be removed. And then we will probably discontinue the first hour of service dedicated to vulnerable populations. May not be needed during that time. Now, those are the 3 phases. We still have a lot of work ahead of us. The branding and marketing department, is currently working on public and staff announcements. So those will start going out shortly. We're finalizing procedures for staff and customers, and that will still continue over the next few weeks. But right now we're seeking approval for this framework so we can move forward on these phases. We really need to be prepared for phase 1. And I'll be happy to take any questions.
Very much, Jen. Let's go down the list here. Trustee Sandra Rainmaker, do you have any questions or comments?
I think these preparations are wonderful. I appreciate all the thought you put into it because just, when I stop thinking about all the things, I think about walking into the library and what I do when I walk into the library and having somebody try to follow around all the things I've touched and looked at and want to do is amazing. So I appreciate what you've done. Thank you.
Trustee Robin Wadley Munier, did you have any questions?
One question. I thought the presentation was excellent.
We lost you a little bit. Can you repeat your question?
Abundance of work.
Trustee Robin Wadley Munier, we lost you. Can you repeat your question?
question I had was, in phase one, was indicating all the employees, obviously, and our partners, but it said masks would be required by any of the. Will we be providing masks in phase one to the patrons that come in who might not have a mask because we're requiring the mask?
Thank you very much. Jen, did you understand the question?
I believe so. I think the question was, would we require, if it's mandated that patrons need to wear a mask when they come in?
Will we be providing masks to the patrons?
So we will be providing masks, definitely, for the staff and everybody that works in the building. We have not made a final plan for how to handle the customers if it is mandated. We are kind of throwing a couple of ideas around. We may have masks available and possibly sell them to the public if they don't have a mask. But we would be hoping to get the word out ahead of time so that the public would know that they would need a mask, that it would be required to come into the building.
Trustee Robin, did you have any more questions?
I don't think we should be selling them. Many of our patrons are not able to buy food, let alone a mask or find one somewhere. They're still in short supply. I would hope that we would be able to find a way, maybe through.
Okay, we can look at that a little more. The selling of masks, there were a couple of other organizations in town.
At the box where the masks are or something, that we could furnish the masks to the people that don't have them.
Okay, we will definitely look at that. Another idea was...
We're a public station. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Another idea we were thinking about, we have staff making masks right now. So that may be something that we can look at as well, for making masks for the public. We'll look at that.
Felipe, this is Jose.
Go ahead, Jose.
Yeah, with the masking and I'm not sure if this has been done, but has the governor in his orders, has he made a requirement that anybody going outside to have to wear masks? I know they're recommending people wear a mask, but has it been made in order, like in California?
No.
All right, because I think we need to be, the mask thing, we need to be very careful with that, because from a liability perspective, if we're giving out masks or we're selling masks or whatever, and for some reason that mask tore or something, and somebody thought they'd been exposed at the library, that could be an issue. So if nobody, if you can't, I think the only thing you can really put in practice is safe distancing, the 6-foot requirement. Wearing the mask thing, as of right now, that's still optional in Nevada. So I don't know that we should get in the business of providing, or we could. I think we could put out some signs that would strongly recommend people wear masks for the safety of themselves and others. But I don't know about selling them or making them and then giving them away, because I think that opens us up to a whole other liability situation.
Thank you very much, Jose Luis. Did you have any other questions or comments?
No, but a great plan, though. Great work on that.
Thank you very much. Merlin Francis Drake, did you have any questions or comments?
I had two questions. One was about the outside food. You said it's going to be getting hot. It's already hot. What about water and water bottles? Would that come under outside food?
No, that's fine. The water is fine.
Okay, and my second, well, it really is a comment. You can use anything for a mask. You can tie a scarf around your face. You can put a hanky type thing with rubber bands on it. You can make anything, but like I said, if it's not mandated by the governor, then I don't think we can force people to wear them, and I don't think we should be handing them out to people anyway, because if people are out and about, they know what the requirements are, and they know what they need to do or what they don't need to do. And I think, we have to be careful that we're not trying to not take care of, but people are going to do what they're going to do, and we want to protect our own people. And I think if they make it mandatory, we would have to, make sure they had them on, and if they didn't, then they couldn't come in.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Bilberry Axelrod, did you have any questions or comments?
Well, thank you once again for this work that you've done. You've really covered a lot, and I appreciate it. I mean, not to beat the mask thing into the ground, but other businesses, if you saw the Venetian just put out their program, the Wynn put them out, they are requiring masks. So I don't think, and maybe our attorney can speak up for that. I know I'm involved in a community mask program where we're getting them out to people. I feel like this would be okay, but I don't want to beat a dead horse. But I do think it sends a strong message having masks on. I mean, I've realized how much I touch my face, and when you have a mask on, you kind of stop doing that. So I think this is something that we need to discuss. But Jen, if I can happily get you in touch with the community mask, if we want to do that as an option. So that's all. Thank you for your work.
Thank you.
This is Jerry to answer a question, if I can, Felipe. Felipe, you're muted.
He's saying go for it,
Okay.
Jerry.
Yes,
Oh,
go ahead,
thanks.
Jerry.
Okay. What my understanding is, and we'll check, is I've been to discussions with Jen about requiring our staff to wear it and having some sort of disclaimer as well. But my understanding from what we've done preliminarily is the majority of prevention for the mask is not for the person wearing the mask, it's for the other people around them. It's to stop them from sneezing and coughing on other people. So we're not representing them, we're protecting them by requiring the mask. But we'll get further guidance, do we deem that necessary, from either the health district or the appropriate medical professionals, and go from there if that satisfies what you've been raising.
Thank you very much, Jerry. Trustee Benavides, did you have any questions or comments?
Not at this time, sir.
Thank you. Dr. Rogers, did you have any questions or comments? Dr. Rogers, any questions or comments?
Oh, I was just trying to get off. Am I unmuted now?
Yes, go ahead.
Yes, I was just going to add that I think in addition to the mask, in particular for the workers in the library, that we may want to also, and someone may have said gloves, I may have missed it, but I think gloves are also important, especially if they're going to be going behind the users in the library, touching things, in particular like the keyboards and monitors and how we're wiping those down. So I think that the gloves could be also an important component to make available as well, in particular for the workers.
Thank you very much. Trustee Foyt, did you have any questions or comments?
I'd like to compliment Jen and all that worked with her. This is a much more nuanced list of how things are going to proceed. Last time we had some of this information presented to us, it was not as fully developed, and this is very thought out and well planned, and I do compliment you all on your work. I know it hasn't been easy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Trustee Wilson, do you have any questions or comments?
To echo my other trustees, yes, I'm very happy that the plan is so detailed now. I did have one more of a thought so much than a question. Obviously, we're gonna incur costs with the PPE and signage and everything else. Do we have anybody looking into if we're eligible under any of the FEMA emergency grants that they put out for government, local government agencies for help offset some of this cost?
Dr. Heathen, do you want to speak to that?
Yes, we're looking at different ways. In the state meeting this morning, they mentioned that, for example, Carson City had applied for FEMA money or is applying. They haven't actually applied yet, and that has been extended. But they are applying for reimbursement of the materials that they use to make masks on their 3D printers. And since we're providing those to a local hospital group, we think that would be a good way for us to also look at recovering. Fred has established an account so that anything that we are getting for this outside of our normal expenses will be itemized in that account and will allow us to apply for grant monies to cover it from FEMA or from the CARES Act or whatever.
Wonderful, thank you.
I would also add, Dr. Heathen, and to the board that the state has also received their money from IMLS. It's only $287,000, but expenses for PPE and other COVID-related expenses are also eligible, and we're waiting for them to put the program out here in the next couple days.
Thank you very much, Danielle. Trustee Robin, did you have a follow-up question?
I did, but because I keep breaking up, I texted it to Allison.
Okay.
Chair Ortiz, would you like me to read the two questions?
Yes, please.
Trustee Robin Wadley Munet had two questions. Could we have a donation box for masks at the entrance? Is the first question. Jen, did you want to?
Okay, and we'll definitely consider it, but again, we'll work with Council Welch on that.
Right.
And the second question is, why would we open vending machines to patrons if no food or drink allowed?
So initially, we were going to say no food or drink at all allowed into our buildings because our current policy allows all food and drink. So we have the general public that comes in with pizzas and all types of food and large quantities of food. So we didn't feel that we don't want to allow that because one, there's really no place for them to kind of sit and eat it. And there's also no loitering, but the vending machines we think may get used, and they're just the machines. It's just the vending machines where if somebody's working on their unemployment application and it's going to take them a couple of hours and they want a snack, that's what we were kind of envisioning. But we are planning not to allow outdoor food. But would you be recommending us to shut down our vending machines?
Well, I will.
Robin could not hear you. Try it again.
Allison.
Sorry, Robin, we could not hear you.
Could she text Allison?
Yes.
I just told her to text me, so as soon as I get that, I'll let you know.
Chair, if I may?
Yes, go ahead.
I just, now that you've brought it up, I do start thinking about fingers on vending machines and what the protocol would be and wiping those down after every use. I think maybe in that phase one, we just put the kibosh on vending machines in the beginning.
Okay, good. Okay. Now we are planning, we don't have to reopen the vending machines, but we are planning to open our cafes during phase one.
I think that makes sense because we still have food service, but I think with the finger, they can wipe stuff down.
Right. Okay.
Thank you very much. Well, Robin texted us a note. Ron and Jennifer, thank you very much. Sometimes it's difficult to move forward without a plan. And a lot of employees have fear. Hopefully this will ameliorate that fear, that we have planned. Like the military, you plan for the worst, hope for the best. And we may not even use any of these, but at the same time, we are ready. I feel my comfort level is much, much better having vetted this out. And it's like anything else, we're going to have to tweak it as we go along. You'll have to tweak it depending on your customers and our customers. At every branch has a different clientele with a different set of habits. So, but
Robin is still talking, and I'm having trouble hearing you.
I mean, if you're not having any food.
Go ahead, Robin, one last time.
Food, no food, and the water outside, but.
Okay, Eric, thank you, Robin. Jennifer heard your comment. So, okay, having heard all the comments, Ron, did you have a question?
No.
Thank you so much. Great job. I feel much, much better. Now we have, this is an agenda item that's discussion of possible board action. Robin still not be able to hear you. Can anybody hear?
I think Robin's having a conversation.
Normal business, so we need to protect ourselves. And I'm breaking up again. Okay.
Thank you very much. We're ready for a recommended action. The motion, who's going to make the motion? May I have a motion on this item?
I can make the motion, Chair.
Trustee Brian Wilson, please make the motion.
Motion to reopen the Las Vegas Clark County Library District with revised operating procedures, guidelines, and safety measures as a result of the COVID-19 global pandemic and in conjunction with Nevada Governor Sisolak's reopening guidelines and directives.
Is there a second?
Second, Shannon.
Okay. All in favor, please say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Robin. Nobody's opposed. The motion carries. Thank you so much on this item. Very good job.
Thank you.
Okay, under new business, Shannon, real quickly, you had wanted us to move away from WebEx.
I would recommend that. Yes.
You need to have a motion to go into closed session, which is the next item.
Allison, we're not there yet.
Okay.
She asked for just a quick comment. You would like for the staff to look at another means to have a meeting, is that correct?
That is correct. I use Zoom every single day, and we don't have nearly the problems I've never had the problems that we've been encountering.
There are problems.
I would second that too.
With data mining. Zoom has been used by the Chinese government to data mine the people who are using it here in the United States.
Okay.
I've heard that there have been issues as well if you don't have a password, but I guess maybe because we're a public meeting, but I mean, that's what we're using for the legislature. That's what we're using for, I have calls with the governor's office weekly. That's what we're using. So
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
In my space, if I could chime in.
Go ahead, Brian.
Zoom had some software issues dating back to early 2019. There was a known security issue with the software on both Mac and Windows versions that has long ago been patched and sealed. Of course, with this pandemic and the spike in Zoom usage, it made for a nice recycled headline in the news because if it bleeds, it leads. But the reality is that security hole was patched well over a year ago at this point.
Okay, thank you. Any other comments on that? It simply a discussion only?
Rainmaker, if I may.
Yes, go ahead, please, trustee.
You know, I'm using Zoom every day on all kinds of meetings, and I've had no problems, and we're using a password as well, and it's just so smooth, and I would love to see us try something different. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So in the essence of time, the staff will take a look at that to see if, what's going to be better for the district.
Well,
Thank
Felipe,
you. Yes.
the only, no matter what program we use, the issue is going to be if somebody's having challenges with their internet connection, that issue is still going to exist.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, at this time, we'll entertain a motion to go in executive session in 5 minutes. So we have a little bit bathroom break. How about 2:26 right at 3 o'clock? Can I get a motion?
Trustee.
Did you say 3 o'clock?
3 o'clock,
Or
yes,
2:30?
sorry.
That's over a half hour.
3:30. 2:30.
2:30.
Well,
2:30.
may I chime in, please?
Yes, please.
We might need some time to get everyone on board because they have to go to another site. So.
Oh, no. Can't we?
Okay, so do we need 10 minutes?
Folks, there are 118 to 120 other people on this site that are listening in, that they're staff members and the public.
Well, thank you and welcome for joining us. Okay, how about 10 minutes, Fred? Is that okay?
Yes, if everyone can get on.
I think he said everybody should try and get on, and then we can pause and go to that. That way, if people are having issues.
Thank you very much. Okay, this meeting is,
Felipe, if I may,
yes, go ahead.
I have to be at City Hall for a meeting at 3 o'clock. I may not be able to join you, but maybe even for 5 minutes. I think I'd like to be excused.
Okay, we'll get you first. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, let's close this meeting out, go to executive session, and we'll come back to everybody else that's on the line. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to lose a quorum if we don't get started. Who are we missing? Oh,
You're missing Dr. Rogers.
He's on.
Oh, good. And we're still.
Marilyn Francis Drake.
Yes, and she's going to try and call in.
Okay, let's go ahead and open up this meeting again. This is my name is Felipe Ortiz, Chair. Today is Tuesday, April 28th, 2020. Continuation of the meeting scheduled for today. It's 4:33. The last item for discussion for possible action regarding the district's budget and human resource issue related to the COVID-19 pandemic. Fred, go ahead. You have a presentation?
Do we want to wait for Dr. Eason?
We didn't have a motion to go out of executive session.
Yes, I think what Robin is trying to say, we need to have a motion to come back into full session.
Correct.
Robin, will you make the motion to come back into executive session?
I would say.
Robin makes a motion to come back to regular session. Is there a second?
Yes. Yes.
Right, how do we turn the sound down on these?
Dr. Rogers, second. All in favor?
What volume button? It's all the way down, it's too loud.
Thank you. Aye. Okay, motion carries to come back to regular session. Did Ron call in?
Not yet, but he should be on shortly.
This is Marilyn, I'm on the phone too.
Thank you, Marilyn. Okay, let's go ahead and have Fred so we don't lose the quorum. Fred, go ahead and do with your presentation, please, and Ron will weigh in.
Okay, you want me to redo that budget presentation again?
Well, that was a private meeting. This is a public meeting.
Okay.
So you don't need to go through all of it, just what
No,
you think you want to present to the public.
I'll just go through the budget portion of it.
Thank you.
Okay. Just let me bring it back up.
5 minutes, okay?
Okay. Well, good. Okay.
Fred, do you need to share the screen so you can show it?
Yeah, I'm looking for it. It's a little bit different than it was last time.
Okay.
I'm not getting what I had last time. Oh my, okay. That's interesting. It's not allowing me to do that. Let me see if I can get it.
Allison, did you give him permission to share?
Oh, that's probably what it is.
Yes, I just gave him permission to share.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you, Allison. That's what it was. Can you see it? Can you see that now?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, we went over a description of a historical background during the Great Recession. We talked about the impact of what the Great Recession was. The impact of the Great Recession was not a full close down of the economy. It was pretty much mostly a retraction in the economy, but not a close down and a pullback of anything within the economy compared to what's going on today. We talked about the Great Recession and pretty much there was no shutdown of the economy and high unemployment rate for the last 7 years. We talked about the revenues, the revenue impact of the current fiscal year for 2019-20 general fund, and that we're going to have a shortfall from the budgeted revenues from 24.2 to 20.6, and that we expect the property tax to remain steady. That's for the current year. We talked about the revenues for the economic impact on the next year's budget. We expect that the current CTX will fall to 20.6 this year at the end of this current fiscal year, and then fall by another $2.8 million to $17.8 million in the next fiscal year. We discussed the $49 million increase over the current year budget for property tax. We expect that we will probably pretty much collect all of that, but from a cash standpoint, we might only collect only a certain percentage, and we don't know what that is. I showed the impact to you on the budget, and it looks like the revenue is projected to remain level for 21-22, and it looks like the revenues is level for the next, is going to be level, pretty level for the next 2 fiscal budget years. We're adjusting our expenditures down by $4.9 million to match our revenues, and that cut in revenues would have to be done this fiscal year, and then the following fiscal year we would have the same budget that we would be sending to the state, and we would most likely be expecting the same revenue projections. We are maintaining ending fund balance at a minimum of 20%, and what must be noted, in the last 10 to 15 years, we've always had a transfer from the general fund into the capital project fund, and I want it to be noted, there are no transfers out from the general fund for this fiscal year or the subsequent fiscal year after that. So that's what we're looking at. I've gone through, I made some adjustments, some projections on our CTX. I've done it for the end of the fiscal year. I've done it for 19-20 to see how much we would expect to get. I also did it for the next fiscal year to see how much it should go down, or should be, how much we should be getting in the next fiscal year. And I'm projecting that at the end of the current fiscal year, our budget, we were budgeted at $24 million. We expect to only get $20.5 million. And in the next year's budget, the state sent us a budget projection of $25 million. I'm only expecting to get $17 million. And even with that adjustment, I noted to you that the significance of it was already covered within the projection of my budget analysis, and that we only have to come up with approximately $5 million reduction in our budget. And that's what I pretty much did. And so making a $5 million reduction in the budget, we talked about the terminology of furloughs and layoffs, what a represented employee is, a non-represented employee is, and under the circumstances we went over. And then we talked about the impact of that we would go out and suggest we're going to ask for no merits and annual pay increases and no increase in health insurance. If we do that, we can more than make up for the loss in revenue for this fiscal year. However, we're going to have to be on a month-to-month analysis of our revenue for the current year, for this current year and next year, to make sure that we do not fall below the budget reduction of $5 million. So, as we finish, I just need cuts in the budget expenditure of $5 million, and that means no increase in salary benefits, freeze vacant positions, and reduce services and supplies by $1.2 million, and no new positions or increase in full-time positions for 2 years. Okay, I discussed how that broke out from salaries and benefits, and traced it all the way back to my scenario and exactly how much we need. And then we finished up with questions and answers regarding human resources issues and the impact of budgets upon the employees. And that's the end of my presentation.
Thank you, Fred. I'm going to start with Vice Chair Shannon Bilbrey-Axelrod.
I would like to make a motion if that would work.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, I would move to approve the budget presented by our CFO, Fred James, with a month-to-month review by Fred James.
Is there a second? Is there a
Second by Trustee Rogers.
Trustee Rogers is making the second on the motion. Is there any further discussion? Call for the question. All in favor, please say aye.
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 Okay, anybody opposed? Please say it with your name, please, so I can understand.
Ortiz, hang on just a moment, please. I think some of the people on the phone.
Okay.
Let me just check.
Let me go down the list here, okay? Trustee Wilson, how do you vote?
Aye to the next budget.
I'm sorry, what?
Aye.
Yes, okay.
Huh?
Trustee
Okay.
Foyt, how do you vote? Trustee Foyt, how do you vote?
She is off. She got off the call.
Okay, Trustee Robin Meunier, how did you vote?
No.
Trustee Meunier is a no. Trustee Rogers, did I hear a yes from you?
Yes, that's correct.
Trustee Benavides, I heard a yes from you.
Yes.
Trustee Melendez, did I hear a yes from you?
Yes.
And Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake? Did we lose her?
Yes.
That's a yes. And Trustee Rainmaker is excused, and I vote yes.
Chair Ortiz, could you tell me how you voted again, please?
Yes on the motion. You need the motion repeated again?
No, I need to have the votes repeated.
So everybody voted yes, with the exception of Robin Meunier. Sandra Rainmaker was excused.
Right.
And Elizabeth Foyt, did she come back on?
I don't show her back up.
Okay, so there's no vote from her.
Okay.
Marker is excused. Okay.
Chair, I have an additional motion related to the budget, not this year's budget, to the current fiscal year issues.
Is that, let's see here, hang on a second. This is on budget and human resources. Is it related to the budget and human resources?
Human resources.
Okay, please go ahead.
Due to the COVID, I move that due to the COVID-19 emergency, that if the shutdown is extended past April 30th, to temporarily furlough staff effective in May 1st. Only those who would make the same or more money through their unemployment benefits with federal backing, but continue all benefits for those employees. The furlough would be temporary and no longer than the state of emergency, and no longer than the federal benefits are extended to ensure their pay remains at the same level they're currently at.
So is there a second on the motion to temporarily furlough should it go beyond April 30th?
Yes, I second that, please.
Second by Robin.
And others.
I can do it on the phone. I can put the phone up there and you can hold it.
Okay, hang on a second, please. Let's go down the votes.
It's going to be late morning, so it's a whole other subject.
Hang on a second, please. Brian Wilson, how do you vote?
Yes.
Trustee Foyt, how do you vote? You can type it in.
Trustee Foyt is not on the call.
Okay. Trustee Rogers, how do you vote? Is he unmuted?
He is unmuted.
Okay, we'll come back to him in a second. Trustee Benavides, how do you vote?
No.
Okay, Trustee Osalis Melendez?
I vote no.
Okay, Trustee Shannon Bilber Hatfield? How do you vote? No. Trustee Marilyn Francis Drake?
No.
And then I vote no. Felipe
Oh,
Ortiz
wow.
votes no. And do we have Trustee Elizabeth Floyd on the line?
Is Trustee Rogers unmuted?
Yes, Trustee Rogers, how do you vote?
No.
No, okay. And Trustee Foyt, did you call in?
No.
Okay, well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 no votes. The motion does not carry.
Loud.
Okay. Is there any other items with respect to this, any other issues with respect to this item? Okay, thank you very much.
Wait a minute, Mr. Chairman,
I'm sorry, who's speaking? Allison, I'm muted.
Can everyone else mute, please?
We can't, we want them to talk.
Allison, go ahead, Elizabeth Foyt, Trustee Foyt.
I thought that was Trustee Robin Wadley Munay.
It is. Okay, here's my question, Mr. Chairman. When we were about to exit executive session, I asked for items that were presented by Scott and Fred to go to the union. We're going to do that in the next meeting. So are we doing that now?
Your question is should the staff have a discussion with the union?
No, Fred asked for 3 items to be approved to discuss with the union, and I said, aren't we going to vote on it? And you said to me, well, we're going to do that in the next meeting.
Correct.
But we're not.
Okay, so your item, would you like to make a motion on the first item or take them all together?
Which first item? What I'm speaking about?
The Family First Coronavirus Act. And then the item to talk to the unions.
I have been discussing all of them. He and Scott presented the union, but I just think we need to put on the record that it seemed like Fred wanted us to say, vote yay or nay and tell him, yes, go talk to the union.
Please make a motion if that's what you would like to do.
What we're not approving is those documents. They were just making sure you had no objection to the document. That doesn't need approval. The negotiating things are encompassed within Fred's proposal. You can or cannot decide whether those are a formal proposal or not.
I wasn't saying there were formal proposals. When we first started discussing that, I asked Fred and said I thought it was going to happen for this meeting today, and he explained, no, I need to have your approval. I need you to see, the whole thing and to discuss this with Scott and get your direction. So direction to me means voting for it, and that's what he said. So that was.
I'm not objecting. I'm just saying that it's the three proposals to balance his budget, not the documents.
So the opportunity to.
I can't see any of it. I don't, I'm only going by what was said, and that's why I asked the question before we exit executive session, and because I was in favor of the items that Fred and Scott were talking about, and them entering into some kind of discussion with the union. But that was never really said that we were going to do or not do. You said we had to approve it. Well, or he had to get our okay, or I've forgotten the exact word. I guess I should report everything.
Robin, I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just saying it's not the documents. It's those 3 points you have to direct your motion to.
Okay. I move that we approve the 3 points that Fred and Scott discussed and proposed that they enter into some kind of conversation with the union reps at their discretion.
Is there a second on the motion?
I'll second that.
Brian Wilson seconds. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anybody opposed? Okay, motion carries. Nobody opposed.
Thank you for the clarity. I really appreciate that.
Okay, very good. Thank you very much. We're now to the agenda item of announcements. Our next board meeting will be held on Thursday, May 21st at 6 o'clock. It's scheduled for Windmill, but I suspect we'll probably be on one of these WebEx or Zoom. Okay, Allison, is there any public comment?
Hold on, Elizabeth.
My apologies. Let me check. I just got Elizabeth on the phone. Let me check for the any public comments. There wasn't any last time, but I'll double check again.
I value and appreciate every one of you. This is a hard time for everybody to make some really tough decisions. It's, I think we've done a very good job in preparing this library district to face the future that's ahead. You know, we saw it coming, we knew it coming, we've already experienced it, so let's hope it doesn't get any worse. If it does, then we have to recircle the wagons and do something different, but for right now, thank you for everybody's input and direction.
Chair Ortiz, there were no public comments, but again, I do have Trustee Foyt on the phone. Let me just...
Ask if she has any comments or anything.
Okay, I will.
Thank you, Chair, and all members of the library board and the staff that's in the on this with us and stuff. Everybody, it's challenging for everyone in unique ways to each one and their family. So we just have to really appreciate everybody's efforts.
Nothing from Trustee Foyt? Allison? Allison?
My apologies, Chair Ortiz. Elizabeth was on the phone. I don't know why. I unmuted everybody on the phone, and I do apologize. She wants to go on record as saying she was on the phone but wasn't unmuted, and I don't know why that happened.
Okay. Having said that, please accept our apologies for the record. With the technology, Elizabeth Foyt, trustee. And, having said that, can we get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
So moved.
Rogers.
So moved by Dr. Rogers.
Second by Shannon.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the day. Thank you so much.